name's Anne Frechette. I'm from Brookline. And I'd like to speak on behalf of the children of Brookline. Paula was one of the most shining light for all of us in Brookline. The children will miss her terribly. I will miss her terribly. The library this afternoon at 5 o'clock, 5:30, thank you so much. The library this afternoon at 5:30 will be hosting another memorial for her. So I encourage you all to go to that as well. But I think it's a shame that all of the young ones can't be here to speak their loss. So I would like to speak for them. It's a terrible, terrible shame.
In my community, nobody knew me. And I knocked on Paula's door and she stopped and invited me in and talked to me and really took me seriously.
Lighten the mood, perhaps. One of the things that happened with her, well, every once in a while, you know, how we always have to count the kids to make sure everybody's there when we're out and about.
I've known Paula a very long time. I met her when we were trying to save the silver maple forest that Mike was talking about. And I just want to mention how gentle Paula was in her advocacy. I was only recently elected, and so I was a friend and knew her before I was in office, and a particular issue came up and she was lobbying us pretty hard on it. And she sent me an email and she said, that she understood how difficult it was for us to receive all those emails and to be lobbied so hard. And I just really appreciated her kindness and her gentleness. You know, she was very strong on her values, but always kept in mind that we're all human, and I will really dearly miss her.
And someone said earlier that she would say, "Don't mourn, organize." This poem came to me. It's a very short one. She who has passed on is no longer where she once was. She now is wherever we remember her. Thank you.
While I was working on the Coolidge Corner renovation this past year with my boss, she and I spent a lot of time over at the Coolidge Corner Library. We normally work at the Village Library. And Paula and I would usually lock our bikes up to the exact same spot outside. And I'll never forget all those nights of going out there, and she would so carefully and so safely get going with all her panniers and her vests and her lights, and I was just like a flippant 31-year-old, like, whatever, I'll be fine. But she was a model of safety. She really was, and when we heard about this, we were just beyond shocked. And for everyone on my staff, I know we feel it completely. We feel it like a member of our own family has been lost, especially all the children's librarians. So if you would like to join us tonight, that would be lovely.
It was a pleasure working with her. I didn't know she did all these political activities. And so I want to talk about Paula as a member of the nice person department. Paula was always friendly to me and interested in me and how are you. And I got to Aleph-Bet Child Care because I was at the Cambridge Insight Meditation Center, where I went at that time every day to meditate, and Paula was living there. And I said, "What are you doing here? I thought you lived at Havarat Shalom." No, now I live at the meditation. So she lived her values geographically as well as activity-wise. And I said, "Paul, I really need a job." And she said, "Oh, go talk to Maggie. I think she needs somebody." So the rest is history, my history anyway. And she really put into practice treating children with respect and dignity. And it's really hard to not fall into certain patterns and treat children who are smaller, ages 1.5 to 5, and not with respect. And she really did. She really encouraged peaceful negotiation and creativity. And I miss her a lot. And I was very fortunate enough to see her about a week and a half. I bumped into her near Coolidge Corner where I happened to be because I was in a bike accident and I was going to the doctor. Anyway, I really, really miss her. She was an extremely unusual person.
I know her from CIMC, and I benefited a great deal from the workshops that she would pull together with spiritual teachers from different places. So I just wanted to bring the spiritual aspect of her, which is how I knew her best. And of course, I miss her very much too. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Maudie. I am a former children's librarian, and I currently work in Medford, but my very first library job while I was still in library school was working for Paula as a page, and then I spent the next 4 years working with her as well. And I can absolutely, in full confidence, say that I would not be the children's librarian I am today if it had not been for my time with Paula. She truly shaped me, nurtured me along the way, and that's just the kind of person she was. Even if we didn't always agree on the same approaches, she was always incredibly supportive and caring and open and creative, and just this free spirit truly moving through the world in her own beautiful way. And yeah, I would not be 1/10 of the librarian I am today if it wasn't for her. So we'll miss her very much.
11 years old, and when I was in 4th grade, I had an idea to start a book club at the library, and I was not very sure of myself. I did not know if it would work, but I told Paula through my mom, and she just took it and ran. She was really good with it. She helped me, and we ran it for a year, and it was wonderful. And I just never forget how amazingly, like, she just took the idea. It was like on the whim. It was amazing. Thank you.
Paula was a teacher to both of my children back in the days just before Rich and Naomi, actually. So my younger daughter, who's now 28, texted me back and then called me after I had shared the news with them. My younger one shared a vignette. I mean, most of the kids don't remember who their preschool teachers were. She was barely 4 years old. And yet, she remembered this vignette in exquisite detail, because that was the kind of impression Paula made on the experience she gave the children. She reminded me a lot of Fred Rogers in a way, because some of the things that they did in the classroom were very multisensory. She never shied away from any topic. She never shied away from dealing with complicated feelings. I have terrible sympathy for all of you and for those who are imperiled when you go out on the roads, but I'm quite convinced that nothing impactful will ever really happen if we don't stop putting the bike lanes in the wrong place, if we don't redesign the horribly designed roads that were laid out by people with no engineering sense and no engineering knowledge. City after city keeps trying to fix the problem by shoving a bike lane in here or shoving a half a lane in there, when in fact, or putting up more traffic lights, because Cambridge especially is really, really good at that. It doesn't fix a thing. The roads are awful. And as much as you all have advocacy in your hearts and in your ways and your skills, advocate for redesigning the roads that everyone uses too, because nothing will be fixed by just sticking another green stripe on the streets. I feel Paula's lost very deeply, as you all do. Amen.
Just like the news got around, about what happened to, like, right here to Paula, right? And it's like, oh, Marcus had a heart attack on the sidewalk. And then, like, people gathered, like, at the hospital, and, like, that I came to. And it was like, I came to, and I just feel, like, blessed that I came to, and thankful for the skill of the doctors at NPH. And, later on, I had, like, I was diagnosed with leukemia, and then, I was cured of leukemia. And then it was, gosh darn, 2 years ago in early 17, Friday the 13th, there was a performance at Eric's house, and I was just really feeling bad, you know, and I didn't know what it was. It was like it was the Saturday, I guess, after Friday the 13th, and it was like, you know, I was just sitting there. I just didn't want to be alone. And then, you know, Paula sort of noticed that something was like feeling wrong, you know, and like she came and said, "Mark, is he all right?" And she just really reached out, and I really needed that reaching out, you know, and like just, you know, and then, you know, things got worse. Eric visited me at the hospital, and he said, like, "Eric, you know, Paula wishes you the best," you know, and I recovered from that. And then I've been like always friends with Paula. I always reach out on my own, you know, and so I'd like to reach out to her. Candle flame in the sky. Thank you.
For a while ago, it was powerful, Paula, and then about that, and I think, yes, she is more than Paula. And I look at everybody here, and I know that, you know, Paula was passionate. She was so concerned about the environment, about the dangers of nuclear power, and she wanted people to be educated and to be active and to be engaged. And so on behalf of more than Paula, all of us, be active and engaged.
Brookline Public Library. My daughter is 14 now, but when she was 4, I used to take her to the library regularly, and she was very interested in reading. So after she was done with all the picture books in the library, I went to Paula and asked her, "Oh, what should I introduce my daughter Divya to?" And Paula was immediately very enthusiastic, and from then on our friendship started. I mean, she would just go and give me series after series. She's like, "Oh, Bhuvana, have you tried this series? Divya would love this. Oh, Bhuvana, have you tried this one? She would love this." And there came a point where Divya was old enough and she would just like go directly to Paula and like, "Paula, what do you think I should read next?" And Paula and I also shared, I mean, I'm a vegetarian and she was into vegetarianism. So every time we would see, we were like, "Oh, where should we go eat next? Oh, try out this place, check out this place." So I would just like to, she's a very dear friend. She was a very dear friend, and I'm very sorry. But I would like to conclude, I saw her email that she'd sent me last, and it went saying, "Stay warm and stay safe, love, Paula." So I share her words with every one of you.
I did not know Paula, but I'm here because I feel a great deal of sorrow for the loss of another person, and also a great deal of relief that my daughter survived. Two bicycle accidents within a mile of here.
I first met Paula when we had a meeting that was set up by Mass Peace Action. And I remember Paula instantly because there was always a smile on her face. And she was so dedicated to anything she put her mind to. And the memory I am always going to be left with is her sitting in a chair in a circle, her backpack on the floor, her bike helmet there, and a huge smile on her face that would light up everything.
And I live about a block away from the Coolidge Corner library, so my kids have grown up knowing Paula, and when we told my 12-year-old what happened, she said, "Oh, I just saw Paula on a couple days ago," and it's just been a devastating loss for those of us who live in Coolidge Corner. I see many faces of friends here, and Paula was a extremely dedicated bicycle commuter as well, and I know because living so close to her place of work, I was myself biking to Cambridge every day where I understand she lived, so I would see her all the time, especially on the BU Bridge. Rain or shine, snow and ice, it didn't matter. She was all geared up and just like me out there, being extremely brave. And you said we could get mad. I am a little mad. And just everyone should stay safe out there. Thank you.
I walked from Pilgrim to the State House with Paula, and I got to know her on that walk, and got very close. She's just a bright light in my life, kept me steady. But I just want to say, this memory keeps haunting me. About the second day we hit rain. So Paula put on these big goofy looking rain shoes over her boots. So the next 30 miles, she walked like all the way to the State House. It was driving me crazy, but you know, it really, she was tenacious, and she made it all the way there, and it's just a dear memory of me. And the other memory was when her husband met her. Just the love that you guys lit up, and the whole Dewey thing. So anyway, just a tragedy. I just want to honor Paula. Oh, you think?
I met Paula on that march that John Gawley just spoke about. And Paula and I and a couple other people walked the whole 54 miles. And at age 65, it was no easy accomplishment. But we kept each other company, and we kept each other going, and we found that our birthdays were exactly 2 days apart. And as friends on Facebook, we were Scorpio sisters. And it's a real tribute to see so many people here today and speaking about so many aspects of her life. She's a real light, and the sorrow in our hearts that she's gone will be there forever. But the memories that we have should brighten our days. And my sympathy goes out to her husband and those who knew her better than I. But I will never forget Paula.
I'm so sorry for your loss. I'm Diane Turco with Cape Downwinders, and I worked with Paula on the dangers of the Pilgrim nuclear reactor. And I have to say, the passion and compassion that she brought to her activism was just so powerful. I'm a longtime activist, but she embodied everything that any activist. She had the compassion and passion to make this planet a better place. We're going to miss her greatly, but she will always be in our hearts for every time we stand up for doing the right thing.
I haven't known Paula long, but I do feel sad because I think she was such an incredible person that even just knowing her a little bit, I could see so much light. And I was thinking now how it's difficult to be a righteous person without being self-righteous. And she struck me as a person that was righteous, but so compassionate and not self-righteous. I feel sad, and I do feel angry also. I feel like we can't afford to lose more people in these kind of accidents, and we also can't afford to stop biking. People have said to me, don't bike, but I think we need to have more people biking. We need to make the streets safe so that lots of people can bike that don't bike now. So my compassion and sympathy, and I hope we can all have some of the light that Paula had in her. Thanks.
Tenacity and tenderness, marching and reading and singing and biking and loving fiercely. Thank you. Thank you for these stories. May the memories of Paula strengthen and sustain you in the days ahead. Dear friends, this is what I believe. Our gathering matters. Our collective visibility matters. Showing up matters. Naming aloud what we grieve and what we long for helps us to bear our burdens and expand our joy. Our resiliency depends upon one another, and Paula knew this. She dedicated her lives to these kinds of connections, to collective action and community at the library, at Massachusetts Peace Action, at Havurat Shalom, and among her friends. We gather today from many different traditions and from many different parts of the world. And as we gathered here, whatever faith you practice or beliefs you hold, we share a common language of love. So in the time that follows, we'll name aloud what we hold most dear. You know this, some of us pray, some of us meditate, some of us offer up our deepest longings to the universe as we ride our bikes. So whatever your practice and however you are comfortable, add your voice, because your voice strengthens the voice of those around you. After each petition, I will say, we need each other, and you will respond, we need each other. I invite your silence. Find your feet firmly planted on the ground as we begin. Many roads brought us here safely to this small square of earth at an intersection of healing and learning. We stand and ride on holy ground. We gather in grief to remember a life well lived, a life too short, adventures unknown, possibilities unfulfilled, songs still left to be sung. As we gather in our grief, may we know we need each other. We give thanks for the life of Paula and all whom she loved. We celebrate Paula's spirit, her dedication to peace and justice, her devotion to the lives of children. As we give thanks for the life of Paula, we proclaim again, we need each other. We need each other. Comfort all who mourn this day, especially Paula's husband, Eric, Paula's family and her friends. Comfort every new mom and weary dad and heartbroken child who will no longer see their beloved Miss Paula in the land of the living. When we are isolated in our grief, help us to feel again that we need each other. We need each other. We weep and we rage with those who were present at and following a crash. We remember those who witnessed things no one should see, and the ambient trauma to neighbors and workers and first responders, healthcare providers, journalists, friends, and loved ones. May images fade from their eyes and noise ebb from their ears. As our communities continue to suffer because of road violence, may we know we need each other. We need each other. We who continue to ride these roads confess that some days we ride scared and some days we ride angry. Here on this holy ground, we claim and recommit ourselves to work for a day when all people will be safe on every street. Help us to believe we need each other. We need each other. We consider our cities, naming our hopes for Boston and Cambridge and Brookline. We look expectantly to our elected leadership. We vow to encourage you and passionately support your work to prioritize the vulnerable in every neighborhood and on every road. We long for a day when death will be no more, mourning and crying will be no more. We do not want to do this again. Let us know deep in our bones that we need each other. We need each other. When we choose to take a bike instead of a car, when we choose to listen instead of shout, when we choose advocacy instead of complacency, when we choose to get curious instead of cranky, when we choose to heal a broken world instead of cursing it, when we travel past this spot, oh, remind us of Paula and that we need each other. We need each other. This is what we believe, and this is what we proclaim. For all of us to stay alive, we need each other. We need each other. We need each other. We need each other. We are all connected. Gather in. We dedicate and bless Paula's ghost bike. May all who look upon it be reminded of the awesome responsibility of driving cars and trucks. May this ghost bike be a sign and a promise. May it be a sign of our fragile lives on our roads. May it be a promise that Paula's life and legacy will not be lost. Bless this memorial to Paula, and bless us too. Let the people say amen.
Amen.
Dear friends, I invite you to take a few steps backwards.
Just a brief anecdote. I'm the director of the Boston Cyclists Union. Before I came to this work, I was actually an environmental activist, and I'm deeply touched by all of these stories about Paula and her work. I once marched from Buzzards Bay to Hyannis in support of the Cape Wind Project, and now I'm thinking maybe Paula was there with me. Definitely people who loved her work. Often enough, or not often enough, do the environmental movement and bike advocacy movement come together, and I hope that this unfortunate and tragic loss of Paula might build some deeper connections and move more people from both sides to work together towards some really important causes that Paula believed in and Paula lived every day. So, you know, I've been moved by people who've said Paula would not have wanted us to mourn, she would have wanted us to advocate. And I hope that many do use this, again, tragic loss to move towards greater change. And we welcome working with others, their residents, their other groups. Please just get engaged however you can in Paula's honor. In addition to getting involved, some people find comfort in giving, and we would like to invite anyone to contribute to an offering that will be split between the Coolidge Corner Library and Mass Peace Action, which Paula cared about deeply. So thank you for being here. So sorry for your loss, and we remember Paula today.
The heaviness and the hope in our hearts, we will sing loud, and we will sing brave, and we will sing as if our lives depend on it. We will sing because Paula did. And we will sing because there are so many people who have brought their gifts and talents here to play for us and with us. We invite the musicians to come forward, and I'll tell you the words because, friends, we ran out of bulletins. So many people came to honor Paula. You know the words.
1, 2, 3. Lay down my sword and shield, down by the riverside, down by the riverside, down by the riverside. I'm gonna lay down my sword and shield, down by the riverside, down by the riverside. I ain't gonna study more no more, ain't gonna study more no more, ain't gonna study more no more. I ain't gonna study more no more, ain't gonna study more no more, ain't gonna study more no more. Lay down my heavy load, lay down my heavy load, down by the riverside, down by the riverside, down by the riverside. I'm gonna lay down my heavy load, down by the riverside, down by the riverside. I ain't gonna study more no more, ain't gonna study more no more, ain't gonna study more no more. I ain't gonna study more no more, ain't gonna study more no more, ain't gonna study more no more. My shoes are marked, shoes are marked. My shoes are marked. Down by the riverside, down by the riverside, down by the riverside. My shoes are marked. Down by the riverside, down by the Dear friends, as you leave from this space, we invite you to come forward. If you have a candle or an offering to leave at the bike, do so that it might shine even on the grayest of days. Because even as this city rushes past our presence,
and our light and Paula's life are a reminder. You are loved. You are precious. You are valuable. You are powerful. And you are worthy to be seen. So as we depart, receive this blessing, life and sweetness and hope for you this day. May you remember that your life is precious, that every life is precious, that each life is precious, and we need one another to stay alive. May you taste again the sweetness of community, delight in knowing Paula and the liberation of your bicycle. And finally, as we remember Paula and rededicate ourselves to a day of 0 traffic fatalities, may you hope diligently, fiercely, defiantly in a city with safe streets for all. Go in peace, go in power, and let the people say, Amen.
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 Thank you, Reverend. Thank you.
One second.